Stay tuned for scenes from the next Dawson's Creek. On the next Dawson's Creek, a hurricane hits Capeside, and no secret will survive the storm.
Would you let me explain?
Go for it. Explain. Purge.
Don't you cry!
Guys.
Tell her.
It's getting too dangerous.
Out of the car!
You defend her. You would.
Clarify yourself right now before I rip your head off.
An all-new Dawson's Creek, next Tuesday.
Hey guys, alrighty, so I guess 3 times the charm, and the reason I say that, guys, is I have tried to record this episode no less than 3 times. The first time I did it, I was kind of a little lackluster, so I didn't want to post that time, so I I deleted it. The second time I did it, I was okay. I wasn't, I wasn't as great and bubbly as I was in my first take of my watch along for this episode. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with this. So I went to download it from the software that I use to do live streaming, which is a great piece of software. It makes things easy. It's called StreamYards. If you've wanted to stream to YouTube or to other websites, but the 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 sort of unknown mountain of streaming, the sort of mysterious mountain that is streaming is really difficult for you, I would highly recommend StreamYards, which is what I'm using to do this stream right now. It's super easy, and it really makes streaming streaming an enjoyable experience for those who want to do it. Anyway, as I give my program a useless plug out of nowhere, so I thought that, listen, that second attempt of me trying to do a watch long for this episode was not great, but that's what we're going to go with. So I downloaded the recording from this software. And I was like, okay. So I went to go up. I uploaded what I thought was the recording, and what I ended up uploading was the opening fanfare piece that you saw. I ended up uploading the commercial for this episode instead of that episode that I downloaded for Hurricane. So, in honor of that, I am now sitting here for the 4th time, but the first time live, the first time live, what is that? I'm now sitting here for the 4th time to sit down and watch this episode live on YouTube for you. Look, I've tried to do it 3 times, not live. Like I said, a bunch of shit happened, and we're here now. Anyway, guys, if you're wondering who the fuck I am, my name is Marcelo Nostroza. I'd like to welcome you to my live watch along of Dawson's Creek Season 1, Episode 5, entitled Hurricane. All right. So, if you haven't been here before, the way that I do my live watch alongs, or my fan commentaries, as I like to call them, in a second, I'm going to click away to the American version of Hulu, where I'll be watching this episode. And once I click away to the American version of Hulu in just a second, I will give you guys a countdown from 3. And when I get to 1, when I say play, that will be your cue at home to sync up your copies of this episode along with me if you choose to watch this episode along with me. So, after all that preamble and all that unnecessary shit, here we go for hopefully the final time. No, not to say that this episode isn't bad, because it's not bad. It's just I feel that I've been doing this episode forever, so it'll be nice to finally get it under my belt and to move on to the next episode, which I'm quite excited to talk about. So enough preamble. Here we go. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. All right, I'm all set. So in three, two, one, play. All right, guys. So this is obviously the recap from last episode where Pacey finally came clean to Dawson with his affair with Tamara, and Dawson got his picture of Jen shattered because Jen finally opened up about her promiscuous past in New York, and also we had the big divide happen between Joey and Dawson in that Dawson found out that Joey knew about his mother's affair with her co-anchor. So, yeah, guys, this episode really strikes a chord with me because I can remember being a kid waiting up. I can remember being a kid, uh, um, waking up and waiting to see if my school was canceled for the day because of a snowstorm that had happened the night before. So, this scene just gives me so many member berries in a good way. James Vanderbeek does such a good job at being such a scorn, self-obsessed teenager. He does a great job at playing Dawson. The casting for this show really, really, really got it 100% and really nailed it as well as it could as well as it could. I like that. Everything's postponed because of the hurricane. That's a phrase that I often use when I don't want to deal with specific things in my life. I'll just say randomly to people, my life is postponed on count of the hurricane. And nobody ever really understands where that reference comes from. If 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 I could only have one of my friends uh, who actually who actually love Dawson's Creek as much as I do, actually live around near me. So when I say that reference, they will get it. That'll be fun, at least for me. I don't know about you. So a friend of mine told me that the proper version of the theme song of Dawson's Creek, basically, "I Don't Want to Wait" by Paula Cole, is available on the Amazon Prime version of Dawson's Creek. So, for those of you who are watching, in the comments below, should I just go over to Amazon Prime and start watching this series there? Because for those of you who have been watching along with me, you know how much of a little pain this section has been for me to hear every single episode because it's not the proper song. It's not Paula Cole's "I Don't Want to Wait." This is a great song. I mean, it's kind of on the nose, but it's just great. It really it really contributes to the vibe that a coastal storm is hitting this small town in Maine. I love how Gail is ever the career woman that she struggles with her station because uh she feels that she was passed over to cover the hurricane, and the only reason that she feels she was passed over to cover uh, that that uh, that just said hurricane is because she doesn't have a certain appendage between her legs. Also, I like how most of our I like how 99% of our main characters are static in this one location, uh, writing out the storm together because I really like the dynamics that that creates in this episode. The only main character who is not going to be in this house during this storm is Pacey because he's going to be doing something else. I mean, and what he's doing sort of pushes his story further, and it pushes his story to sort of being wrapped up. And also, I love how passive aggressive Dawson is here, sort of indicating that he knows about indicate that he sort of indicating that he knows about the affair, the- sort of indicating shit, sorry guys, sort of indicating that he knows about his mother's affair, but isn't coming right out with it. I really love that. And like I mentioned, this is what Pacey is dealing with for this episode. He's putting out no swimming signs during a little hurricane. I really like this storyline because it really illustrates that Pacey's family really views him as a waste of time and a um they really um play him as a buffoon and an idiot, and they don't really give him any, what would you say, moral support? And I also really like how Pacey is com Pacey is constantly, um Pacey is constantly giving Doug agita because of his CD collection, primarily indicating that he's kinda gay just based on his CD collection, but I do like how in the future that gets picked up by somebody who I shall not say, we'll talk about it when we get there. And I also like this conversation between Bessie and Bodie about something that they're gonna do to their kid once he's born. It's so good. It's so good, you know. But also, it's family legend that when I was born, there were certain people in my household that had this various conversation, that had this same conversation about what they were gonna do with something belonging to me. I wonder what those black flags are for, and I'm not colorblind, guys. I just instantly, you know, kinda blurred out red all of a sudden. See, and this sort of reinforces what Pacey's family thinks of him. He's a goof, he's a slacker, he's no good for nothing. Also, I love how Pacey is trying to mark his territory here by subtly not doing it because he can't obviously tell Doug that he's having an affair with his teacher because, guys, it's a felony, but I love how lightly sort of, uh, Pacey is trying to tell Doug to fuck off here. Also, fun fact about Jennifer's grandfather being in the hospital, the reason why he's, like, either unconscious or in the hospital all the time is because Kevin couldn't think of a plausible way to wake him up from out of his coma, so, uh, in a couple episodes from now, no spoilers, I trust if you're watching this, you've watched the series before, but in a couple episodes from now, he's gonna wake up, he's gonna say a couple things, and he's gonna die, and the only reason that that happened was because Kevin didn't know how to wake him up from a coma in a plausible manner, which I find quite funny because because it's totally what would happen with um yeah guys I have lot I the thought that I wanted to make just flew out of my head, so we're gonna forget that I even said that. This is a really good shot here of Dawson spying on his adulterous mother. It's a great shot. Initially, when I tried to record this episode, like previously, I thought Dawson meant a scarlet letter, but of course he doesn't mean a scarlet letter. He's talking about the fact that his mother is a big ass adulteress or adulterer. Is it adulteress or adulteress-er? I have no idea. I don't know. Also, it's really, really great how Gail here tries to save face and tries to explain her tries to explain her behavior that doesn't make sense at all. Of course, Dawson would correct his mother when she's trying to save face. Also, I love what Jen says to Dawson here. Exactly, because Dawson thinks that this is all about Oh, you don't want to say that, Dawson. You're gonna get your head taken off. See, told you. See, he got it from Jen. He got a good dose of reality from Jen, and now he's gonna get a good dose of reality from Joey. This is wonderful. This is like this is like the episode where everybody kicks on Dawson and makes him realize how special and how blessed his life is. But to be fair, Dawson is in a sort of tailspin because he just found out what's happening with his mother. He just found out about Jen, and he's trying to process this, but he's processing it in a really, really unhealthy way because guess what, guys? When something like this happens when you're a kid, you can't process it in the way that an individual who is older would process it. I'm not saying if he was older, he would process it any better, but it perhaps if he was older, he would probably give himself a moment of pause before he would go to all before he would go to all these astronomical doomsday equations. That's the best line of the scene, right? Dawson is Dawson is sort of like sending his mother out to pasture for cheating on, his father, but he doesn't recognize how special he is by having a mother, and Joey sort of reinforces that by the speech that she just gave. I wouldn't either. Bob isn't the person you should be worried about. If this show was made today, she would say the F word because this show would probably be on a streaming service. Again, here's a competition between, Doug and Pacey of, wanting to impress, uh, uh, Tamora or Tammy. Tamora or Tammy. I should just call her Tammy because half the season, I've been calling her Tammy, Tamara. I've been calling her, every name in the book, but and I really love this setup, sort of like how Pacey, pushes puts this wedge between Doug and Tamara by indicating to, uh, Tamara that Doug is gay. It's just a really, really nice way to put a wedge in between them. Of course, this is really dumb because, Doug is right outside, and what did she just say? "This is actually a family, so this is not a good idea, guys, not at all." That's awkward. How are you gonna talk your way out of this one, Pacey? Also, a thing that I forgot to mention about Mitch, I love the fact that he has this dream about having a themed restaurant with with the waitresses wearing diving gear. It's really it's a really, really cool concept, and I like that I actually like that he has a model of what the restaurant might look like. And also I like the nautical theme to it all as well. Also, I love how Gail is trying to lightly sort of uh sort of like lead herself to admitting this betrayal that she has done to Mitch here. But she realized that she's stalling, and she eventually comes to the conclusion that she's going to come to in just a second here. See, even Mitch realizes that she's spinning her wheels. Oh, and look. Oh, that's a great cut there. Great cut. And this episode, I must say, this episode is extremely, extremely well written, like most of season 1 has been. I will not say most of season 1. I will say all of season 1 is I mean, season 1 is my favorite season of the show, and that is taking away if I remove the fact that I am a Dawson and Joey stan, without that, I think season 1 would be as good, would be just as good, and that's a great moment there, and I love the sense of despair and complete out of controlness that Gail has on her face, and the fact that she just breaks down there, it's just, oh, s so heartbreaking. Gramps to the rescue, look at that. See, nobody ever gives Pacey a fucking shot, man. It's no wonder he's walking around like he's like he's the class buffoon or like he's no good for nothing. His family fucking sucks. Also, the great thing about this is that Doug is actually hitting on Tamara, but Tamara thinks that Doug is gay, so it's really an exercise that isn't gonna go anywhere because of the wedge that Pacey planted earlier, and that sort of makes the scene even, uh, 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 even greater, even better, even greater. What the fuck is that, guys? It's been a couple days since I've been on stream, so you're gonna have to forgive me for this stream. It's going a little awry. Oof. You know, I love Grams, but come on, really? I think Bessie said it all, said it right there. You know, black or white, this child will be 100% love. Come on, guys. I mean, that's that's all you really need to fend off people who don't think that you're gonna be a good parent or who don't think that you're not prepared for it. And I also love that at this point in the season, the writers have given Jen and Joey a lot to do together. They've given them more scenes to make their friendship get that much tighter. Of course, they haven't dealt with the elephant in the room yet, how they feel about Dawson, but it's really nice to see their relationship develop over the past couple episodes because of the circumstances in those episodes. And what they're talking about here is just great. And the thing that makes it even better is that in the pilot episode of the show, Joey constantly sec makes these sexual innuendos about Dawson's quote unquote package. So this scene sort of is a really nice kind of, I will say, add on to that scene. But you know what? I just really like it because it's something that girls their age would totally talk about. It makes sense. It feels natural, and it just works. And also it helps that at this point, Dawson at this point, Joey is head over heels in love with her best friend. Also, I love how Grams tries to comfort Dawson here and basically tell him that everything is gonna be okay. And I love how, you know, Dawson takes this opportunity and he approaches it like such a film nerd, and what he says really doesn't register with Grams because she's not a film person. And I love the way that she sort of boils down what Dawson is going through right now, and she indicates that at some point he's gonna have to forgive his mother indi for her, indiscretions and her poor choice in judgment, I'll say. And this is just great because Doug is gonna walk right into it, and he's gonna do something outrageous in just a second here, guys. I have good key. Doug's reaction is just so great. I love how casually he just puts away the gun like nothing, like 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 that was just nothing. Also, the acting in this scene is quite exquisite. I really like this because it really illustrates how much Mitch was in love with Gail, and and it sort of illustrates how he saw Gail in his own mind, you know? And it also illustrates how head over heels in love he was with Gail from the moment he saw her. And also, this is just really heartbreaking for Mitch. And for Gail, the 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 sense of the sense of betrayal that she must feel for what she did is just it's gotta be astronomical. Oh my god, what a haunting visual. It's just so sad. Also, I love how this episode I mean, it's really dumb and it's really simple, and you're gonna be like, "Marcelo, you're kind of picking fruit from you're kind of picking low fruit from the tree at this point." I am, because the episode's almost over. But I like how the episode starts at the hurricane and it ends with the hurricane passing by and sun reemerging in Capeside, and you see everybody taking down their boards from their windows and reopening their shops. Guys, again, it's low hanging fruit, but the episode's almost over, so cut me a break. Also, I like in there how Doug tried to take one more stab at Tamara, but she mentioned that she's physically seeing someone, and it's a really really nice moment because we know that that someone is Pacey. It's just a really really nice moment. Also, this is a great moment for Jen and Dawson here. I love how open and vulnerable Jen is in this scene. It's really 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 it's such a hard thing to be this open with somebody and to trust them to accept you and love you with all your scars and all your miscomings, and it really takes a special type of person to love someone And it really takes some it really takes a special kind of person to love someone with all their wounds sprawled out on the floor, and it just really shows what a accepting person Dawson is and what a caring person Dawson is to accept Jen, to accept the real Jen and not to accept the idea of Jen that he's had in his head for the first half of the season, being that he now sees Jen for who she really is, and the fact that he can accept her now and he can find a way to love her and accept her is just so wonderful. See? Sex doesn't equal happiness. That's one of the lessons that Dawson had to learn in this episode. Sex does not equal happiness. Also, I love how great Michelle Williams is in this scene. And the funny thing is that she stars in this show whose lead character is obsessed with Steven Spielberg, and the actress played Steven Spielberg's mother in The Fabelmans. So come on, that is just some kind of perfect circle. Also, what Dawson said there would make anybody weak in the knees. And what he says here is just great, right? Because it's a film reference, and it also ties into them starting over as a couple with a clean slate and 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 none of that drama to deal with. Also, I really like this scene because it sort of indicates to the audience that this relationship isn't long for the world, and it's going to end very, very soon, and it could end really, really, really badly for either Pacey or Tamara. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes and how it's going to conclude. Mm. And this scene really rings true with me as an adult because watching the series when I was a bit younger, I kind of this scene kind of just went over my head because I was focused on other storylines. But now as an older adult, this scene just hits home with me because I have felt like this in I felt like this in a way in my life and I've felt the need to get restless and sort of fuck up my perfect life when I didn't have to. Oh, she did. That she did indeed. That's a really good scene, guys. Also, I love the fact that the scene coming up here was sort of set up earlier in the episode. To me, that's really, really great storytelling. When you can take when you plant a story thread, and I really like it when writers do that and they pick it up later on in the episode or in the movie that I'm watching. But this is just great because the Spielbergness of it all is just on such a good level. And me being a lonely child, I really kind of wanted to do this with my friends when I was younger, but none of my friends really love film the way that I did, and I never got a chance to do this. So this really hits home with me for multiple reasons. And also the fact that my 2 favorite characters the fact that my favorite TV couple of all time is in the scene is just, a cherry on top. And that is true. When people that you love, die suddenly and you sort of like have this wall of regret around you and you sort of forget all the fights that you've had with that individual after they're gone, and the only thing that you can remember is the good parts and the parts that really matter. But another thing, guys, nobody's perfect. Everybody strives to be perfect, but perfect is an illusion. Also, just watch, guys. This is just great. Come on. Come on. You c God damn it, you just can't I mean, you can't get any better than that, and also the camera tilts down to Dawson's bed and the shark is right there. It's so fucking great. All right, guys. So that'll do it for my watch along of Dawson's Creek season 1, episode 5, entitled Hurricane. Finally, it's over with and done. Look, I'm not saying that I don't like the episode. I love this episode, but with all the trials and tribulations that I went through to record this episode, that I went over in the opening to this stream, I'm so glad that I have it in the books behind me, and we can move forward with the season. Listen, guys, if you're still here and you managed to watch uh, uh, this far, I will say if you like listening to me talk about Dawson's Creek, you might like a podcast that I'm a part of that I go in deep and I deconstruct movies from a writer's perspective. And that podcast that I host with a dear friend of mine is called the Mixtape Podcast. And I promise this time, guys, because I've been saying it for a couple of weeks, I promise that if you want to uh, uh, if you want to check out what that podcast is, we are on YouTube. We're on youtube.com/the mixtape podcast. But if you're lazy and you don't want to look it up, I will put a link down to that YouTube channel in the comment section below, or the doobly doos, as I like to say. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank you so much for staying with me while I rap quixotic about the episode that I could just never really get 100% right out of the gate. This episode that's entitled again Hurricane. But until next time, guys, as always, I'll see you when I see you.
So much happened here, and so much is about to.